Alright, this is going to be a different video than normal. Usually I do shop stuff and technology stuff, but on my own time I like to make jerky, and I'm in a dilemma. I'm on my last piece of jerky and my wife wants more, so I have to make more. And I thought, well, since it's such good jerky, I'm going to show everybody how I make it, because a lot of people ask me after I give them a piece, they want to know how. So I'll just put it on YouTube, that way everybody knows. Alright, so the ingredients are what I'm going to start out with. The first ingredient is brown sugar. I use 1/3 cup of brown sugar. And then the next one is soy sauce, another 1/3 cup. Next one is teriyaki, and I'll use 2/3 cup of that. And Worcestershire, 1/3 cup. Okay, so all those use the a third cup, or the teriyaki is 2/3. Now the rest of these use a tablespoon. The sea salt, you got to use this type of salt, the Redmond real salt, perfect for jerky. Really nice stuff. It's almost kind of a sweet taste to it. I use 3 tablespoons of salt. That's because it's jerky. You need it for the preservative factor. Pepper, obviously, you want some good pepper. So I have this kind of pepper here. It's 3 types of pepper, just all, just a bunch of different kinds of pepper. And I put that in this pepper grinder. I made that pepper grinder. That's out of pinyon pine. I also have this hot shot pepper. So I'll probably do like a 1/2 tablespoon of this and the rest of it with this stuff. You could, if you don't like it to be super hot, with a lot of pepper, then tone that down a little bit. Don't put as much in. The next is liquid smoke. I like this Wright's liquid smoke. I'll do like 1 tablespoon of that. And then lemon juice. You could just do a whole lemon, or you could buy this real lemon stuff here and use about 4 tablespoons of that. Then we have the Frank's Red Hot Sauce. I'll use about 2 tablespoons of that. If you want a little bit more, you can put more of that in. And just a teaspoon of garlic powder. And then this right here, this is kind of a secret ingredient. It's called the Bomb Ground Zero. Be very, very careful with this stuff because it's super hot. I'd put like need a little bit more than a drop in for the whole batch. So if you can handle a lot of hotness, then put more in, but I mean, this is just enough to make it so the jerky has a little bit of a bite to it. So, but you don't want to kill people, so just a little bit. And it has like 234,000 Scoville units right there. 234,000. Wicked beyond belief. Yeah, that's true. Okay, so I only use a little bit of this at a time, so be careful. Other things you would need, obviously a dehydrator. This is a Excalibur, super old. This used to be my mom's, then we got together, bought her a nice new one for Christmas, and then she gave me her old one. Really nice, highly recommend that brand. Slicer, or you could have the store slice it for you. And I like to marinate the jerky in these vacuum chambers. That's with a food saver. So here's a food saver. So basically that's all the stuff. I didn't show the meat, I'll show that next, but this is all the equipment and most of the things that you need to make some really good. Alright, here's the meat. It's basically, You want to get meat that has very little fat in it, just kind of a roast. This is top round roast. I got like 3 of these, so that should make plenty of jerky. The recipe I gave you should be able to handle between 4 to 5 pounds of meat. So this is more than that, so I'm going to just do the recipe twice and I should have plenty. So anyway, I'll go ahead and show you the slicing. The reason I didn't have these out earlier is because I had them in the freezer. You want to freeze them just a little bit so they're a little bit more stiff and it's a little bit easier to slice them. Here I'm ready to slice. I didn't leave the meat in the freezer long enough, so it's still kind of spongy, so it's going to be a little bit difficult to cut, but I'll manage. You want to cut, you know, thin slices, not too thin, but enough to you know, get the job done. I'll show you after I slice a couple here. Alright, just turn her on. Oh, I also like to put aluminum foil on the table so I have a nice clean surface for the meat to fall onto. So that's about the right thickness there. When the meat gets small enough, start use the pusher to keep safe. As you can see, I got 2 batches of meat here. I'm going to mix up 2 things of marinade, 1 for each batch, and then we'll put it in the dehydrator tomorrow. I like to leave it marinating overnight. So. Alright, now that's all mixed together, I got my meat here, my solution here, and one of these vacuum chambers here. If you don't have a vacuum chamber, you don't want to buy one, just use a gallon Ziploc bag, throw them in a Ziploc bag and just try to get all the air out. Okay, but this seems to work really well for me. And you don't have to worry about the holes getting popped in it. Alright, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a couple pieces of meat, throw them in the solution, make sure they all get mixed around. Keep the solution moving, because if for some reason the salt didn't completely dissolve, you're keeping it, moving around so nothing floats down to the bottom. Right. After you get about 10 pieces in there, let it drip off a little bit, and then put it down in the container or the bag that you're using. And just keep doing that until you're done. If for some reason you run out of solution, you can pour some back out of the container back into the bowl, but you should be okay with this amount of meat. Okay, so I finished putting the meat in the sauce. All I have to do is vacuum seal it shut. Just put this on here, shove this in here, and push down on here, and it vacuums it. Alright, that makes it so that the sauce gets, infused into the meat a little bit better. So I have this one here. We're mixing up another bowl of marinade right now. We'll do the other batch of meat, and the reason I'm doing so much is because the Excalibur dehydrator can handle that much. So if you have a smaller dehydrator, I'd just do a single batch. Alright, it's the next day. I got the jerky up on top of the dehydrator. The dehydrator has 9 trays in it. That's why it's able to hold so much. So if you want to be able to do like 10 pounds of meat, then you have to get a big dehydrator like this. Those little round ones that you can get at the grocery store, I think they could probably handle maybe a third or half of this much. They work just as good. I had one a while back, but it only lasted me about 2 years. This is like at least 20 years old, so this is a nice dehydrator. Anyway, so I'm just going to show you how to lay it out real quick, and that should be it. Alright, so basically you just, I'll take one tray out and lay it on top of another tray, and then I'll just start pulling the meat out, flatten it out, and doesn't have to be perfectly flat, but here we go. Sliding around on me. So there we go. The next one, just put right up against it. So we'll just so they're touching. Don't overlap them, but you can have them touching each other. It won't hurt them at all. So they can have a little bit of waviness to them, like wrinkle, but don't have them like completely folded up on top of each other. So put the little tiny pieces down inside the openings and just work your way across like that. My wife really likes the little tiny pieces, so I save them for her. Voila. That should be enough. Alright, I set the timer for 8 hours, and the temperature should be all the way up. And if we look here, there's the jerky all laid out. I used about, well, I used six of the trays, so I still have 3 trays that don't even have anything on them. So basically, that was about 8 pounds of meat. We'd probably go easily 10 pounds of meat, and still have a little bit of sauce left in the bottom of those tanks there. So yeah, I'd say the max would be 10 pounds of meat if you want them to all get seasoned well. And I'll show you the final result, and that'll be it. Alright, here's the finished result. Now if you remember, all these used to be touching each other, so as they dry they shrink down to size and then they move away from each other. So that's why I have them so close together at the beginning. So some of them might be a little bit more dry than others. The small pieces might be drier than the thicker pieces, but if you put them all in a Ziploc bag together, they kind of equalize and become more the same. So there's the result, and it is delicious. It's the sugar gives it a little bit of sweetness, there's plenty of salt to get the saltiness, and then some of that, the balm, the hot stuff, makes it so that it's nice and spicy, but not too spicy, and it lingers, a little bit, so that the taste lasts for a long time, and it tastes a lot better than the jerky from the store. So go ahead and give it a try. It also makes great marinade. Just get rid of the salt. And that should do it.